Welcome to Innovations in the Field, brought to you by BASF. I'm Colleen Callahan. You may remember J.C. Henrekin from Deer Grove, Illinois. We talked with J.C. about 3 things this month: what kind of season he had, what he did to grow his corn and soybean crops, and what he learned. And since we spoke before harvest, his results are still being discovered, but with crops mature, he has a good grasp of the past 5 months.
Early April, late March was pretty cool and damp, and it was really looking like it was going to be a late planting season. And all of a sudden, things turned around for us there late April. We started planting there that last week of April, and we didn't have a delay from start to finish.
The key to getting a crop in right depends on the planter and the way the crop is put into the soil.
Our ear count and our stand is just absolutely incredible because of that. Everything really germinated, within hours of each other. I mean, everything really went, very even, very consistent stands.
To move the plants along, he began his weed control and fertilization program.
We started spraying corn, it must have been about the last week of May, which is a little bit earlier than normal. Man, from the get-go, it seemed like our crop hit the ground running and was ahead of schedule. We used Status and Roundup on all our corn acres and have been extremely happy with it. Does an outstanding job. Once we got the corn sprayed, we pretty much turned to beans right away, and we did run a pre this year on every acre of our beans. We've got water hemp in the last 2 years in this area that's resistant to Roundup, and then we are on the dicamba soybeans as well. We threw more money at the beans this year on weed control than we ever have, and I really think it shows too. I mean, our beans are spot free, and they just look really, really good.
At tasseling, he called in his aerial applicator for a fungicide treatment.
What we ended up doing was splitting some of the acres and comparing Preaxor to Headline Amp, and I had the actual crop pilot go in, and we put some Preaxor on about a week ahead of the Headline Amp on certain strips within certain fields. And then we're comparing the two products.
Soybean fungicide went on at R3 along with an insecticide to counter some pests that were moving in.
We used Preaxor on every acre and threw in an insecticide as well. The reason for the insecticide was the Japanese beetles. After everything was in the ground, we seemed like we were hitting it pretty lucky on the rainfall. When we needed one, we got one. And that stayed true pretty much all summer except for about the last week of July. And we ran into a 3-week dry spell there where we have a fair amount of center pivot irrigation in our area, and they were running pretty much nonstop for about a 3-week period there.
In late August, everything looked good according to JC, but the proof is yet to come. In our next podcast, we will detail his actions of the summer and his progression of test plots. J.C. Henrekin plus other leading-edge farmers are featured in select issues of Progressive Farmer Magazine's Innovations in the Field, sponsored by BASF. You can also go online to dtnpf.com/innovations. Thanks for listening.